Under-23 Championships. Very much seen as a stepping stone event, if you like, but one which, as you said, one or two might decide to bypass. That's Susan Calkin, having a very good year. She's at the same university as Hannah England, Florida State, NCAA champion. Come back over. Of course, in America, the cross-country season's finished already. Already into their indoor season. Finishes about end of November. So the women's under-23 race underway. 4 1,500-meter laps, 6,000 meters in total. And not quite as many entrants, so getting to that first corner not so imperative. But they have started pretty quickly already. Bobicel in the yellow vest of Romania, already well to the fore. Susan Calkin well up there, so is Linda Byrne of Ireland, just taking that corner very nicely indeed. And we'll have to look back to see the British athletes who I'm not sure any of them will figure individually. They'd have to have a very, very good run indeed to do that. But they still perhaps have strength and depth for them to challenge team-wise. But that remains to be seen. Nice day in Brussels if you're just joining us in the Parc de Laeken. And of course, quite familiar to many cross-country fans and indeed the athletes. World Cross-Country Championships were held here. I'm trying to think what year it was, Ben. Was it 2004, 5?
I think it was 2004.
2004. And they do have one of the Eurocross events here as well, quite regularly. Parkland cutting up though all the time with every race that goes by, every lap that's run, getting muddier and muddier. Not too hilly, undulating in places, a bit twisty, turny, but a good cross-country test. And the under-23 athletes setting out on the first of 4 laps.
4 laps, 6,000 meters, 1,500 meters each lap, and a very fast opening there, particularly Bobicel, who's now back in 3rd place behind Linda Byrne of Ireland, but she went so quickly at the start. Hayden leads the race, but I think the conservative opening tactic by the British team is once again being demonstrated here. And Byrne there, if you look just on that corner, an action replay. Haydar comes through. Bobicel on the inside. Now, she won this race last year, Bobicel, now in 2nd place. Ran the Olympic Games in the steeplechase. She had an unfortunate accident in that event in the Olympic Games and wasn't able to complete a race with any great effect. But the mass there they were looking at, and the British athletes in amongst them. The British team of Hannah England, Susie Hignett, Stacey Johnson from Cannock and Stafford, Morag McClarty from Scotland, Catherine Spark, Woodford Green and Essex Ladies, and Sarah Tunstall of Kendal. But what a big opening gap there has been taken. And there's the chasing group being led by Bobicel, and I'm sure they've slowed down because they went so quickly for the first 800 meters or so that they were all running into oxygen debt. The other athlete is favoured here, Calkin in 3rd place, but what an impressive opening here.
Yeah, Sultan Haydar from Turkey has really set off at a very, very quick pace, but to be honest, Brent, she's got such a lovely running action. You know how we were saying how some people just kind of glide over this sort of ground. She's going much faster than the other athletes, but she's not troubled at all by the conditions. It's just whether or not she's set off at a pace that she can maintain. But this is very, very quick indeed. She certainly was one of the fancied athletes beforehand, but to be honest, you wouldn't expect on this first lap to leave those others so far behind. Talking about the British athletes, I can see Morag McClarty leading them through. Catherine Spark, who's running this event before. Twin sister Jessica not in the team this year, but Catherine's having a good winter. There she is in terms of I saw Hannah England going through as well. There's Catherine Spark just behind Morag McClarty. Brent mentioned the other members, Susie Hignett, Stacey Johnson and Sarah Tunstall as well. So British team started a little bit more circumspect, but that might not be a bad thing here, and just make their way through gradually. Hannah England, perhaps the best known in terms of recent profile of the British team. Of course, perhaps some considered a little bit unlucky not to get selected for Beijing. Susan Scott took the 3rd spot in the 1500 metres. Hannah England ran the qualification time over in America, said she's at Florida State University. In fact, she rooms with Susan Calkin. They're just going through your picture in the orange vest, the two of them roommates. In fact, it's Sarah Tunstall who's leading the British little quartet there in the just behind the first 6 or 7, so that's good to see. She's made a very good start. From Kendall, another one who's a mountain running specialist. We saw Pak, the Turkish athlete, in the men's junior race running very well. But there's Haydar. Just looks very comfortable action, but it is early stages, and this is a big lead to have built up at this stage. And what do we normally say, Bren? When he goes off like that, mind you, we did that in the Olympics, didn't we? We said they'll not catch him, he's gone off. Well, we said they'll catch him, he's gone off, and of course he hung out there and won the race. But who knows? Early stages, but they're well strung out there. Sarah Tunstall and Morag McClarty going well. That looks like Catherine Spark just going through the picture. So the 4 counters for Great Britain well up there, and there's Hannah England a little further back, but certainly the team have started well, and individually it's Haydar who's thrown down a gauntlet on this first lap. It's close, isn't it? You said the team has started well, but Britain just 1 point ahead of the Russians. Well, that will change. Positions will continue to change all the way through this, but she's going a little bit slower already. Or was that just up the hill?
Well, I'm sure that in second place there, Susan Calkin has been taken immensely by surprise with Haydar. She's just set off so strongly. You can see her, the good thing about her, she's looking ahead, she's not looking over her shoulder. Bobachel, who's set off so quickly, but there, the British team moving through in very, very good order here now. Now looking at the team positions, they must be closer. They are top of the thing. There's Hannah England from Great Britain. There's Johnson, Stacey Johnson from Cannock, but that gap beginning to just be nibbled into by Calkin. She's looking over her shoulder. The leader, Haydar, comes round the corner there. In the mud, as you can see, it's getting worse, but actually in between the difficult corners, it's not too bad at all, Steve.
Yeah, it's, as I said, it's cutting up on the corners, and as you'd expect, obviously they all take the tight line around the corners, so they may be finding a little bit more room on the other parts of the course. There's Morag McClarty. Good to see her back in such good form. There's Catherine Spark. And Morag, of course, a former European junior champion on the track. Had a couple of difficult years. There's Hannah England. Good to see again one of our track specialists coming onto the country and doing well. But that gap's closing all the time. I said, was she running slow before? It wasn't just the hill. She's definitely changed her cadence, the leader. So Susan Calkin just eating into that lead. But what a good run so far by Sarah Tunstall. She certainly had Morag McClarty ahead of her at the trials. And indeed Catherine Spark was ahead of her in the trials, so she's leading her compatriots here at this point and is in 3rd place, so a very good performance. I said that I wasn't sure that any of our British athletes would challenge the individual medals, but being proven wrong at this point, and you've got a funny feeling that Haydar might have run the best part of her race already, because once Calkin goes past her, and if I was her I'd continue going past her, then you've got a feeling the Turkish athlete might just find herself struggling for the rest of the race. In fact, she's jogging now, Bren, isn't she? Completely overcooked it.
Well, I mean, that opening lap was amazing. She's a good athlete. She's run 2:4 for 800 metres and 4:12 for 1500 metres. So she knows about the sport, but then suddenly that opening lap was far too quick. And you could see a puzzlement on the face of Susan Calkin when she looked ahead. She saw how far ahead Sultan Haydar was, but now she's settled down on her way to the halfway point, and now the athlete from Netherlands, who's based in Florida State University, beginning to pull away from the early leader, Sultan Haydar. A great position in 3rd place there. That's Sarah Tunstall from Kendal, who's a mountain running specialist and knows. Well, she lives in Kendal and she's been running on the country recently. She'll have been running in worse conditions than this, Steve.
Yeah, it's snowing up north again overnight. But Sarah Tunstall just showing, you talk about horses for courses, and Well, that's what happens on the country. Morag McClarty was ahead of her at Liverpool at the trial, so indeed was Catherine Spark, who's just a little bit further behind as well, just coming into the picture, coming down into the straight there. But there's a good performance early on by these two British athletes, very well up, and indeed got some good athletes behind them. There's Linda Byrne of Ireland just coming through the picture, and Bobichel, who many were saying was a race favourite. I did say she hasn't been running quite as well this winter, so Bobichel just a little further down as expected. I'm surprised that the Spaniards are so far back as well. They've not really figured at this stage. So, to be honest, the way it's working at the minute, yes, the Russians are still involved, but British athletes, and you have to say that you wouldn't really fancy the chances of Haydar of hanging on to the second spot at the moment, because she's just going to get slower, you would think, unless she rallies perhaps on the last lap, who knows. But two British athletes are running themselves into medal positions here. Still early stages, still a couple of laps to run here, but good performances. Morag McClarty, coached by Liz McColgan now, and I said it's been a real resurgence in her career. She's a good athlete, very good athlete when she was a junior, and this year starting to find some of the form that her talent always suggested was there. So a couple of laps complete, and that's how they stand. Calkin in the lead, the fading Haydar in second place, and a real tussle for third between Sarah Tunstall and Morag McClarty.
Steve, you talked about Morag McClarty being coached by Liz McColgan, and wouldn't you think Liz McColgan would have the same kind of effect on athletes she's coaching like Alec Ferguson has on his footballers? You know, great respect for her, great knowledge of Liz's background and the fierce approach that she always took to her athletics. If she can translate some of that into some of these athletes who she's coaching, then Liz can be an equally outstanding coach as she was an athlete.
Well, she's got a good squad up there. I see Liz quite a bit. My son runs up in Scotland, and I see quite a few of the Scottish athletes and events. Liz is doing a cracking job up there. Morag McClarty, a good example of well, a talent that might have started to slip away, but certainly performing well here, as indeed is Sarah Tunstall, who you could see has already moved into second place now behind Calkin, and the British team performing extremely well in gold medal position at the moment, and that will be a very pleasant surprise here. It was looking as a team strong in depth, but I'm not sure they would have expected to have their four counters so high up here. Now, individually in silver and bronze medal position, chasing down Sarah Calkin, who did set out as one of the favourites and is performing very well indeed, but she just already looks a little bit tired. And you know, the chase that she gave to Haydar, who'd gone off very, very quickly, and she looked comfortable closing down on the Turkish athlete who's now in fourth place. But you never know. Calkin might just have worked a little bit too hard too quickly to close down that gap. And if these two can work together, a pair of them do look a little tired as well. I think it's a very testing course, this. Although it is parkland, we've said there's no easy running. Look at them picking their way through there. But Sarah Tunstall, as Brendan was saying, part of the world she's from, up in the legs, mountain running specialist, competed in the World Championships with real distinction, 8th place as a junior, 3rd in the European Mountain Running Championships this year. So no mountains to climb here as such, but difficult underfoot, and a real test of strength and of character as well. But these two pulling well away from the fading Haydar.
Well, there you go. That's what happens when you go too quickly in the early stages. Here's Bobichel coming through, the Romanian, and Spark of Great Britain running a strong race now, getting more into contention. And the British women's team here really acquitting themselves extremely well. And now, look at Calkin. She's just struggling just that little bit there. She did pursue, and she was surprised to have to pursue Sultan Haydar. And there, looking over her shoulder, that's a warning sign for her. She's obviously not as comfortable now as she was a little while ago. 13 minutes of running behind her, about another just over a mile left to complete. She's tossing from side to side. She's working very, very hard indeed. And is the race on now? There she goes. She looked very comfortable early on. 10 minutes 7-second lead, and then a 10-second lead over Tunstall and Morag McClarty. But the two British athletes look as though they're working hard together. Here's the leader, and her cadence has certainly slowed. There, coming round the corner, you can see her being pursued by one of the British athletes, but there she is. That's slow motion, so that's not when her cadence is being slowed. That's when her cadence is being slowed in real time. But it's now Sarah Tunstall, eyes ahead, firmly ahead, ploughing through the difficult underfoot conditions. Morag McClarty's running really well and just needs to hold that position now. They look as though they're going to be silver and bronze medals, and it looks like...
And Catherine Spark there, Brendan, is running a very good race. That's Bobichel just in front of her, you know, a former junior champion, one of the favourites to come here, one of the top runners in certainly in European distance running, certainly over the last 2-3 years. So Catherine Spark running exceptionally well. Her twin sister Jessica not in the team this year, and having her own difficulties, but Catherine having certainly one of the best runs of her career. But as you're saying, this one isn't over yet. We'll come round to take the bell lap. Now that lead is what, about 8, 9, 10 seconds or so, so it should be good enough. And she's been looking round though, looks a little bit more comfortable than she did a little while ago, maybe 2-3 minutes back. Susan Calkin of the Netherlands in the lead at the moment, but being chased down by Sarah Tunstall, running the race of her career in second place for Great Britain, and Morag McClarty from Scotland representing Great Britain here in third place. And these two well clear of one of the pre-race favourites, Bobichel, and we're looking good in the team race as well as they enter the last lap. But Calkin is looking more tired than she was, and there's Haydar, who the early leader has just given it up now because she completely got it wrong today. Set off so quickly on the first lap. Nobody could really maintain that pace unless you were so dominant that you could set off knowing you could keep that going. She's certainly not that calibre of athlete. And maybe Calkin just praying for chasing down the Turkish athlete on that first lap. She's looking a bit tired, but she has another look round. She knows she's got less than 1,500 metres of running to do. She's just got to hold it together here. But can Sarah Tunstall eat into that lead a little bit more? Haydar completely spent.
Second place, very strong.
Actually, there we're looking at Sultan Haydar, who led for such a long way, and now she looks to be in real trouble on the side. She's breathing so heavily on the side of the track, having fallen over and just dropped out completely. But we're looking at Susan Calkin of the Netherlands, the athlete who trains, lives in Florida, goes to university, Florida State University, and Sarah Tunstall from Kendal, the mountain running specialist, an athlete who will be used to these kind of conditions, and a very good run in third place by the former European junior champion from Great Britain, Morag McClarty. Now she's just got to hold it together now. She's in third place. She doesn't look as though she's going to catch Tunstall. And is there going to be any change here in the late stages? Has Sarah Tunstall got anything left? Calkin now looks as though she's recovered from that mid-race difficulty she went through. She comes round this bend. She can see over her shoulder. As she does, she glances and she sees Sarah Tunstall of Great Britain in second place. And Sarah Tunstall is well clear now of Morag McClarty, who's just coming into the shot. But this woman took it steadily at the beginning, then moved through, probably went a little bit too quick. And Sarah Tunstall still working hard, just trying to close that gap. But she'll be delighted with a silver medal. Could it be better than that? Probably not, I wouldn't have thought.
I made the gap, Brent, about 7 or 8 seconds. There's Morag McClarty, still working hard. She looks as though she's got enough space between herself and Bobichel. She's tired, but I don't think the athletes behind are finding anything. And I have to say that, you know, Sarah Tunstall's got that typical good cross-country action, a really low knee lift. But I think Calkin's now just recovered and picked up and knows that the finish is within sight really, and the lead of 7 or 8 seconds is enough. She's anxiously still looks behind, but that lead not really being eaten into in significant amounts, not quickly enough to frighten the Dutch athlete enough. It might get down to 3 or 4 seconds at the end, who knows, but that certainly looks a winning lead. But what a good performance for Sarah Tunstall from Kendal, 22 years of age. This, by a long way, her best ever performance in a British Fest at the European Championships, the under-23 race here, giving her what looks like is going to be a silver medal, coached by John Tunstall. And if you think that last year she was 24th in this race, that's a huge improvement, really significant run from her. Good performance from Calkin, Brent.
That's a great step forward. for Sarah Tunstall. But Calkin went through a difficult patch in the middle. She was glancing over her shoulder, and the glances went longer and longer. They looked as though she was really concerned about what was happening behind her. But now, an athlete who's relaxed and in the lead and is prepared specifically for this event, now you can see the difference the confidence brings. Just stretching. Sarah Tunstall still working hard in second place, and that's something she's going to be very, very happy with and very, very proud of. The young athlete from Kendal has actually done extremely well. And you know, you think about it, she's a mountain running specialist, and this is not as hilly and as difficult a course as you could imagine in a cross-country championships. She could do better in the future. And now Morag McClarty coming under a bit of pressure.
Yeah, it's a pity that can she rally a little bit. She's got some track speed, but I think she looks pretty tired. Really a shame there, because Zaradneva from Russia has found something in the latter stages that McClarty just can't contend with. There's only about 400 metres to go, but she's completely spent there. It looks as though she might well hang on to the 4th place. The team race, I think, I'll stick my neck out this time and say that certainly the British have had enough gap between themselves and the others that even if they lose 1 or 2 places in the final stages, they should still be good enough. But Susan Calkin at Florida State University in America, taking NCAA titles, come back to take this European under-23 cross-country title. But what a performance from Sarah Tunstall of Great Britain, is finishing strongly, couldn't quite reel in the Dutch athlete, and this a vindication of the favourite status that was handed to Susan Calkin beforehand. A really good solid performance, had a little bit of a sticky patch in the middle but recovered well towards the end, takes the under-23 title, and a superb run from Sarah Tunstall, taking silver medal for Great Britain. Really, really good performance, and there's a right battle going on for the bronze medal as Morag McClarty rallied, sprinting to the line. Can she take the bronze? Morag McClarty just needs to keep going. Has she judged this right? I think the Russian's just getting back ahead of her. What a shame there. Just misjudgment from Morag McClarty, because I think she had the speed to have taken that, but the strength of the Russian told in the end. Zaradneva, the bronze medal. What a shame. It was nonetheless an excellent run by Morag McClarty. We're looking for Catherine Spark to cross the line as the next British counter. Bobichel just coming through now. I think that's Catherine Spark just coming through in, that will be 7th place. Good performance, and I think the British team looking for their 4th counter. Could be Hannah England or Stacey Johnson next to come through, and that would confirm the gold medal position for the British team. And indeed, Stacey Johnson finishing ahead of Hannah England in 11th place. That will guarantee them the gold medal.
Great Britain flight summits. The team ranking of Tunstall, McClarty, Spark, Johnson and England already finished. Russia will get the 2nd place and Germany 3rd in the team ranking.
Avec l'équipe victoire de la Grande-Bretagne devant la Russie et l'Allemagne.
Laatste minuut voor Brigitte Allen en voor Van der Box.